What is going on, YouTube's pulling a Suburban Beard intro on that one. Welcome to the Josh's of Reselling morning show. This is your first time with us. We're all named Josh. I'm Josh, also known as Harry Tornado. We have a lot of Josh and Suburban Beard. We are all full-time resellers. We buy and sell things on eBay, and we figured we'd make a little morning show to give you guys something to chew on first thing in the morning as you drink your coffee and pack your mini sales. So I will let the other Joshes introduce themselves, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, a lot of Josh. You can find me on YouTube and Instagram, but just hanging out with my two buddies, with everyone in chat, and just seeing where this conversation goes.
Awesome.
What's shaking? I'm Suburban Beard, known as Josh or L Beard or the Beard, and full-time reseller and YouTuber, and happy to meet some good friends named Josh. The best friends you can have.
That's right.
Like you, Josh.
Amen. Amen. So I was having a little bit of technical difficulties this morning, so please forgive me for that. I forgot to turn my volume down, but we started a little bit late, but I do see I got a super chat already from Andy Lepper, I believe. Let me make sure that's who it was.
Man.
Yeah, Andy Lepper. Let's start this thing right. Amen, brother. I appreciate that. Andy and his wife operate an orphanage in India, and I'm going to be working with him on some sponsored videos coming up. The boys in their orphanage they make pins, like handmade, like wooden pins, to raise money for the orphanage and for services in the community. And so we're going to be working together in the future. So Andy, I definitely appreciate that super chat. And he also bought like 2 Harry Tornado t-shirts for me. So he's a great guy. So let's go ahead and shout out some people in the chat. Steampunk Town was the first. They showed up like an hour ago. So shout out to them. Reseller King, Landsharp Picker, Karen Henderson. Over the years, Bargain Effect, Danny May, Piedmont Picker, Jay Meza, of course, every day. Michelle Lathan. Hello, Michelle. Reselling Ford GTR, Scott Jean, Stones of Pop Ranger, Chris, Crystal Crespo, Andy Lepper, of course, In It to Flip It, Thrifty Esme, Scott Jean. I think that's everybody so far. So as you guys see from our from a title, I wanted to talk a little bit about wholesale today, just because it's fresh on my mind because something happened yesterday. But I have done some wholesale stuff in the past. If you guys want to drop some chats in the stream real fast, let us know if you have done wholesale and just your first impressions about it before we give you our opinions, I guess. Lepers. Andy Lepper says, if I had a live stream with other lepers, we would call ourselves the Leper Colony. pretty good. Yeah, luckily Josh is a pretty common name. So we were lucky enough to find 3 of us.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes we act like Josh is such a unique name.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so
like,
weird.
oh, we're so special.
But
I guess
everyone named Josh.
It does make me feel special to have a Josh stream. Just because Josh is such a common name.
Yeah.
I think
Some self-justification.
I think it was a couple weeks ago. Someone's like, could you have a CPA on? I'm like, I'll see if we can find one named Josh.
Yeah. Josh specializes in e-commerce.
Right.
So in yesterday's show on a lot of Josh's channel, we were talking about white backgrounds, and Reseller King said he made the video on the pull shade background for picks. We talked about like the final window pull at Walmart, the super cheap. So I'm actually really curious about that. So I'm going to go check that video out after our show today. So thanks for that, man. So let's see if there's any comments about wholesale so far. Love wholesale. Jeanette Randall says that. Gore Jess says, I have a love-hate relationship with wholesale. I think she does a lot of like storage unit stuff, which is kind of like wholesale.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get. Kelly, the e-com mom. Ward says a little bit of wholesale here. Scott Jean says, I haven't done wholesale, but I've always wondered about it. So, Josh, you had that perfume haul a couple weeks ago. It was basically wholesale. So what, like, did you have any like qualms about going into that, like spending that much money up front, or like how did you handle that like mentally and financially, I guess?
I think, yeah, I don't know if I guess that's like the closest thing to wholesale I've done. I mean, I made like big bulk purchases before, like the expired film I've bought previously. That's pretty wholesale. I mean, like each individual film, I probably had like $1.50 into, and the perfume I had about $6 a bottle. But yeah, it's like a pretty hefty investment just because when it does come to wholesale, the whole reason why you're able to get such a good individual price for each item, it's because you are buying in bulk. So it is a hefty investment. So those two, like I think the expired film and the perfume, that's probably like the biggest purchases I've ever made. It's definitely just like a lot of browsing the internet, checking comps, just like verifying that what you're buying will actually sell. And I'm not looking for like, a quick flip with wholesale. Like I understand that, it'll take some time to break even and then push yourself into the green. So you're going to have like a decent amount of money tied up. For me, pretty much like, I mean, before I went full time, I was doing this part time for about a year and a half. So pretty much like everything that I was making off of my eBay business, I was, I had the luxury that my full time job was able to pay for the bills, pay for, any like activities or whatever, like fun stuff on the side. So I was fortunate enough to have a full time job that was able to cover all that. So everything I made off of reselling, I was able to either reinvest or just keep to the side just in case opportunities like that popped up. So I think just like being able to do this part time for like that year and a half and just like build up that that like fund to just like wait for opportunities like that. That's kind of like what allowed me to make the purchases like that. But just, I mean, it's definitely kind of scary to like just throw that money at a deal like that and like knowingly take all that stuff and like understanding that you're not going to break even for a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Suburban Beard, have you had any, I know you bought that Amazon pallet a couple weeks ago. I guess that would be wholesale, but do you have any other experience with any type of wholesale?
Anything beyond that? No. I mean, I haven't had any large bulk buys for like I've done retail arbitrage in a sense where I bought 150 of something, but no outside source besides actual retail arbitrage and then a giant pallet of stuff and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew what I was getting into with it, because I sourced the place many times, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it still was, it was literally going in blind because you didn't know what was going to end up being in the bottom of that thing,
Yeah, definitely. Crown Vapor, let me see if I can pull this up here. It's an interesting question. Says, how does wholesale work? Also, by doing wholesale, are you more likely to have a higher tax rate other than doing normal eBay sales? So how does wholesale work is a very intricate question, but the taxes, I feel like people think the more money you spend in your business, like the more taxes you have to pay, but you're not taxed on the money you spend. You're taxed on your profit. So like when I do those, I have a consignment deal with those bath fans. So somebody buys a bath fan for me for $125, and then I pay a consignment fee of like $80 or so to the supplier, and I make like a $25, $30 profit. And everybody was like, "Oh, you're gonna have to pay taxes on that $125." I'm like, no, that's not true, because that's not profit. You're only taxed on your profit. So if you spend, $5,000 on a wholesale deal, your profit is not $5,000. Your profit on that maybe $2,500 if you're lucky. So no, doing wholesale doesn't change your tax rate. I'm not an accountant, but you're only taxed on your profit. How does wholesale work? You basically, generally, you just buy a bunch of one item at a discounted price, and you try to make your money back on that item. Generally, the profit margins are a lot lower. In thrift stores, you can make 10, 20 times your investment, but on wholesale, you're generally looking at a 30 up to maybe a 50% profit margin. So if you spend $500 on wholesale, you're generally looking at about $750 in sales, giving you a $250 profit.
The one good thing about wholesale is a lot of times you are getting, similar items or like the same SKU or like the same exact item. So, it kind of saves time in the photographing and listing process. So, I mean, that in itself is almost worth it. Just because you can it's almost like you can just like listen and forget it, and then slowly over time let the sales roll in. And another reason why I just love like in addition to wholesale, just buying things in bulk, like sourcing takes a lot of time, like driving to thrift stores. I mean, I feel like I have a bunch that are relatively close in proximity, but even then, just driving from thrift store to thrift store, retail store to retail store, that's an entire day gone just driving around.
Luckily for me, that's the best part of the job. Like that's by far my favorite thing is just thrifting. So I would hate to people are like, oh, you can just buy wholesale and not have to worry about thrifting. I'm like, if I did that, I wouldn't have any fun.
Yeah. It is the fun part, but it's extremely time consuming.
It is, yeah. But I do like the listing aspect of it. You know, just one set of photos. Sometimes you can use stock photos if things are new in the box, and it's very, very long tail. Somebody was saying earlier, you have to have the stomach you have to be able to stomach the long tail items. You know, like Rally Roots, they buy a bunch of those like DeLonghi like coffee makers or something. They'll get 200 at a time for like, you know, $30 a piece, and they sell them for, you know, 80 free shipping. So they're making like 30-40% profit maybe, but it takes them 3 months to sell out. So one, you have to be able to store that many items if you're buying something like that. I mean, that takes up, you know, probably 200 square feet of space with that many items. And then you have to be able to, you know, deal with well, I'll talk about that in a second. There's other features, but Kelly Ecom Onward says beauty of selling on multiple platforms is that you can try out your wholesale items on different places to see where they sell the best, and that's true. And that also helps that it's really easy to list. You can list 100 coffee pots on Mercari, eBay, Amazon, everything all at once, and it doesn't take a lot of time, and you can see which platform is the best for that particular item. CJ has a question, kind of off topic, but we can answer it real fast. Suburban Beard, what do you think is the real benefit of having an eBay store?
The biggest benefit is how much you're listing. Seriously, I mean, because if you're not listing that much, then you're not going to end up paying per listing because you get, the 100 free listings without a store? And the more you list, the larger store you'd want to get into. Obviously, there's the small benefits where you get like the free supplies every quarter, right? Depending on your store size, how much you get. I also prefer the way the sales layout is in a store compared to the free service. Like when you go to the main page for all your listings, I hate the free one. It looks like, a GeoCities page to me. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's my biggest thing of that. I mean, would you guys agree, or do you, as opposed to paying per listing? It's the same way RVA Flips opened 2 stores just because it was cheaper to pay for 2 different stores than just have one more expensive one.
Yeah. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, the listing fees definitely. It's been a while since I've checked like the actual benchmarks, but they're like calculator. You can just Google like eBay store calculator, and then they'll kind of tell you like how many listings it's worth to upgrade to a store. Another big benefit that I really like is just the eBay shipping supplies, because with a store subscription, I don't think like they added like a basic one, I think, right, for like $5 a month. I don't think you can get the coupon.
Yeah, that one doesn't.
But yeah, so that second level up and beyond, each level has like a different dollar amount of coupon, but those eBay shipping supplies are like super overpriced without the coupon.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, I love the eBay shipping supplies. Like their tape is good, super colorful. So I feel like, I don't know, it just makes my packages pop, and it just makes me feel better about myself when I'm packing and shipping. And I mean, the boxes are pretty good too. And they all say eBay on it. So it's like the eBay brand. It helps add like a little, like a professional touch to your packing and shipping.
Yeah, I was at that like the second tier store, which was when I got that store, it was the first one. They just I guess they didn't have that $5 a month store, whatever it is. So I was paying like $19.99 a month, and with that you get 250 free listings per month. Like not in addition to your previous month, but every month you get free 250 free active listings. You could take some away, add some, but once you go over 250 active listings, that's when they start charging you that insertion fee. And with that store, you also get $25 shipping coupon every quarter. and you get access to Terapeak. I'm bumped up to the $50 a month store now, and that gives you 1,000 free listings every month. It gives you a $50 shipping coupon, and it gives you access to a couple other features like the ability to leave, turn on automatic feedback for buyers, which has been huge for me. I used to spend a ton of time leaving feedback for buyers, and now I just, as soon as the buyer pays, it leaves them positive feedback. And you can have it, you could put like custom messages in there, and the system will just choose random ones to send. So for me, it's definitely worth it. I think if you're doing, I'd say any more than $1,000 a month in sales, I would at least get that $19.99 a month store just for the shipping coupon, honestly. And the Terapeak. Terapeak's good if you know how to use it. El Cuban also said something about collecting sales tax in your state. For me, eBay collects state sales tax on all my purchases if the buyer is from my state. So eBay is really good about if your state requires sales tax to be collected on an online purchase, eBay collects that for you and pays the state. So I don't deal with that. But that is true. If you have a wholesale account and you're selling stuff locally or off eBay or something like that, you do have to collect sales tax on that and turn that into your state. And Callie's World, I put it up earlier. She's in the chat. She's talking about those DeLonghi coffee things. She's like, they take up a quarter of our current warehouse.
Wow.
I'm sure you're excited to get into y'all's that new warehouse. It looks awesome. I'd like to get to a spot in my reselling career where I can afford a warehouse that size and that I would actually need it.
Yeah.
I'm
just
starting
having
with
that much
Lonnie's
space would be just cool. This is extremely off topic, but earlier CJ Spano said, "Hey Josh, are you able to grow a beard?" And then Danny Bay said, "Do you get this question every week? Why don't people ask for everyone else to shave?" That's true. That's a great point.
And then I commented,
Why do you guys
I'm not a woman.
I think I do get asked this every week though, either in the comment section or someone throws it in the chat.
I'm going to Amazon you a beard.
Yeah.
Just
Should I just try to grow it out and just visually show you guys?
You should, but listen, it's the thing. Like everyone's like, "Oh, ZZ Top." Well, ZZ Top had 3 members. The reason one of them did not have a beard is because his last name was Beard. Max Beard was the drummer, so he didn't grow a beard. The other 2 had beards. That's why it was funny. There's your moment of zen.
I'm going to cover you up here with this comment from Jay Meza. I like it. So I'm so sorry. You're beautiful inside and out, but you're gone. Jay Meza said, "You would sell for somebody else on your eBay store. And if you do, what's the give and take you give them? My in-laws are giving me stuff to sell for them, and I do a 70-30 after fees and whatnot." I'll take it away now so we can see Suburban Beard's beautiful beard.
Yeah.
So
you're probably the best.
I have that one consignment deal, and it really depends on how much work you have to do. So those fans I have are already boxed up. So all I did was took like 3 pictures and did 1 listing, multiple quantity. When they sell, all I do is print a label, put it on there, take it to FedEx. That's all I do. So that situation, I'm actually doing a 75-25 split because I feel like that's fair for the amount of work I'm doing. But if somebody's like, "Hey, here's 4 garbage bags of old women's vintage clothing that I want you to list," that requires you to photograph, measure, individually list each item. In a situation like that, personally, I wouldn't even do that. No matter the split, even if they were giving them to me, I'm just not interested in that. But some people do that for like a 60-40 split, like the consignor gets 60 and they only get 40. And I don't think that's fair because you're doing everything.
Yeah.
I think in a situation like that, you should look at a 70-30 split in your favor. Again, it's a matter of opinion and how much you value your time. And how much work's involved. What do you guys think?
I agree.
Yeah,
100%.
I think I've never actually done consignment. I mean, I've like talked to people about it, but we've never like actually followed through. I think those like fans you've done in terms of consignment, you probably did it the best way with that guy, like how you went about doing that. Because I think a lot of times I hear people talking about when it comes to consignment, a lot of people are saying it gets way too complicated if you actually go through with a consignment deal. A lot of people I see, I hear this all the time, like just avoid consignment altogether and just pay up front, something along that line. But I think the way you did it and you kind of like put certain measures into place to kind of protect yourself. I think that's probably, it's not, I think you did it the right way.
You definitely want to have a written contract. I know the guy from my church, so I trust him, but we also do have a written contract. I think Lane Sharp Picker was the one that told me, he's like, why don't you just buy all the fans? I'm like, well, each fan is like this big, and I work out of my garage. I just don't. He has like 80 fans he had 80 fans to start with, and that would take up my whole garage. So I don't have the physical space to do that. I don't have the capital to buy all those fans at wholesale price would be about $5,000 to $6,000, and I do not have $5,000 to $6,000 to spend on fans. So our agreement is, I take 4 or 5 at a time, list a quantity of 4 or 5, and when they sell, I get down to 1, I go to his warehouse and pick up some more. It's a really great system. So I like consignment. Again, just make sure whatever you and your consignor agree to is written in a contract. And you also have a clause in there about how to deal with returns. Our agreement is just the return split is the same way. So if we get a return, we split the cost of that return the same way we split the profits. Just make sure it's in writing, even if you know the person.
Yeah, I do it both ways. So some stuff I'll take up front and do 50-50. And then I'll usually take the brunt if there is a return, things like that. The other way I do it is 70-30, where I only get 30%. Now, I do handle storing of the item and shipping it, but on the back end, I have no repercussions if there's a return. I still keep my money and my hands are washed of it. So it just different situations, different scenarios, I handle it both ways. So it just depends on what it is. Like, my favorite thing about consignment is I have no upfront cost. That's and I'm making money, so I'm okay with that. That's why I love your fan thing. Tell the guy to buy some more stuff you can resell. Like
Emily Conway, I changed my name from Cash Reggie Noise to just my name. Just FYI. Hi guys, just got on. That's awesome, because apparently you're a girl. I thought Cash Reggie Noise was a guy.
I did too.
I'm sorry, I used the incorrect
you're a guy.
Hello, Emily Conway.
I'm pretty sure we replied to man one of the comments too before, so I was like, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know now. So, hello, Emily.
Ken Daigle says, "In God we trust. Everyone else is on contract." Amen. Yeah, I think the worst people to do consignment with is like family and friends, honestly, because it's like if something goes wrong, you don't want to like jeopardize a personal relationship like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh yeah, I'll consign this forward. Don't worry about a contract. You're my best friend. It's a good way to lose a best friend.
If you're really my best friend, you just give it to me for free.
Becky Park, like she has all these people giving her stuff for free, and it's not like great stuff, but it's free.
It is $0 invested, so zero risk involved.
That's what I get. Honestly, a lot of my free stuff, I do Craig's. He did a video about having the auto email populate from Craigslist on free listings that pop up, and that's now where I get most of my. That's how I found. I got like 7 or 8 free toner printers. Most of them are only no more than 2 years old. Guys like, yeah, I used to resell them, but I don't want them anymore. I'm like, okay.
Christina Stevens says, any update on the eBay debacle? I just can't believe this is fourth quarter. Feels like July. Pasha Macario crazy slow too. I've actually, in the last like 5 days, have been awesome for me. I'm averaging over $200 a day personally, which is very good for me. So I'm still seeing like the red edits, like require more details, but I don't think it's as big of a deterrent as people would have it made out to be. What I've been doing is just sending a lot of any of my items that have watchers. I'm sending offers. I'm going through my listings at night and just seeing things that don't have watchers and researching comps again, because a lot of my items that I've listed a few months ago are just priced too high, and that's why they haven't sold. Like I had a TI 84 plus calculator listed for like $70 plus shipping, and I don't know why I listed that high. So I dropped it down to 55 plus shipping, and it sold within like 10 minutes. So just go through your listings and just make sure your prices are still, comparable to the market, and send offers to watchers. Make sure if you've got high dollar listings that haven't sold, make sure your pictures are good enough. I would sometimes go back and take better pictures of high dollar items. But yeah, so far for me, it's okay. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think eBay's been doing a little bit better. I don't think eBay's gonna go anywhere like long term. I don't know. I know there's like so many other competitors coming in, but at the end of the day, eBay's still gonna be there. So I probably, I know a lot of people, they've been talking about jumping ship and stuff like that, but I'll probably stick around and stay on eBay. I'm okay with other people leaving eBay. I guess that's like less competition for us. But actually, like I think yesterday, Poshmark outsold my eBay account. So I'm like really glad that I've been cross-listing stuff to Poshmark. And I think that's like the first or second time Poshmark has ever done that for me.
That's awesome.
Typically, I get like 1 or 2 sales a week on Poshmark just because I list over there, but I'm not very, I don't invest like a crazy amount of time to like sharing my own closet and stuff. So I think, yeah, like second time maybe Poshmark outsold my eBay. So I think just like don't spread yourself thin, but spreading yourself to the point where you're not like depending on one platform. I think that's helped me.
Yeah, my Mercari's been busy. I'm still selling 1 or 2 a day on YouTube, but I'm selling 1 or 2 a day on Mercari as well. It's been weird. I haven't expected it. It's not like I'm listing anything crazy, but that's where I was talking. What I'm selling now on Mercari is stuff that I never thought would sell on Mercari, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, so I'm like, oh, these vintage books or this old, this time, like, wow, that's the stuff that's now selling for me on Mercari. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that has to do with the hashtags or their advertising. There's On the Mark Flipper. My Mercari outsold my eBay yesterday. Yeah, it's happened to me 3 days in a row. I've never, I was just going hardcore to cross list. You know what I mean? Like a lot of Josh said, you don't spread yourself thin, but put yourself out there and see what happens,
Mm-hmm. On the Mark Flipper or Fipper, he had another question up. It might be probably best for Suburban Beard. He's like, good morning, guys. I have to drop the kids off at school and rush back to watch the show. I have 6 children, 5 still at home. Do any of you have children, and how do you work parenting into your day?
Yeah, Suburban Beard's the only one with kids.
So mine, we just balance back and forth. So like we both get up in the morning when I get up in the morning, and I usually go out and wait at the bus with them, and then the wife and I jump into anything needs to ship out, what needs to happen, and then in the afternoons we kind of rotate. So right when my younger 2 are on the bus together, so right when they get off, we kind of hit it home. Everybody's at the kitchen table and has their snack and go through book bags, and but then it'll depend on what we have going on. Like she just finished a huge order for a school she was doing, and so I kind of took over some extra responsibilities on that side just because she needed to sit down and just weed through the vinyl and finish the project, and vice versa. If I'm like, I need to go outsourcing, then she handles that side. And since we're both at home and both doing the same type of career, if you will, or business,
Mm-hmm.
it works out that we can negotiate that back and forth. Like yesterday there was Girl Scouts, but I had to go clean out a storage unit, and so we just created a schedule. And it's kind of like, listen, it's kind of like how our show goes. Like, let's see how the talking and discussion goes before we figure anything out. Yeah. And it's just, a day by day, like, if there's orthodontist appointments or doctor's appointments, like we know that ahead of time and we go from there. It's a juggle. Sometimes it gets a little crazy. Not going to lie about that. That's for sure. But it's also fun. I love being able to see them get on and off the bus.
Emily says, I talked to my hubby about what days I'm going sourcing and make sure he can watch the kids, because literally 12 seconds into a sourcing trip, my kids are bored and whining. Yeah, it's my wife used to be like that. Like I would force her to go to Goodwill and she would hate it. And luckily now she's into it. But I see like people trying to, I don't know if they're resellers or if they're just like shopping, but like just dealing with kids at the bins. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like,
yeah, I couldn't do that. I wouldn't torture my kids at the bins. No, I mean, if I gave them all a tablet, I could sit them in a corner. But with my luck, they'll end up in a bin flying through the front door or something. But
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for people who are able to do this while like raising kids.
Yeah,
because I feel like I'm busy enough.
It's like
that's the thing. Like,
she has 2 kids. She claims she's part-time, but she's very good at like maximizing her time. Like her husband will take the kids to the park and she'll just go crazy and like photograph like 100 things. So I think it's about just like you and your spouse being on the same page. Even if your spouse doesn't want anything to do with your reselling business, like it's important that they support you and kind of give you that free time to focus 100% on your business. Because I think I don't have kids, but I can imagine it's very difficult to try to, watch your kids and list at the same time. There's a good way to either let your kids choke on something because you're not watching them, or mess up a listing because you're watching your kid. So I think it's important to get devoted time to both aspects of your life.
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest part. Just plays in. Like for me though, it's worth every little struggle, because last year I missed what did I miss? I missed the Girl Scout award ceremony. I missed 2 concerts. I missed a play. I missed like the amount of stuff that I just wasn't present for because my career was so important and so everything. It took over everything. Like I just wasn't home, And so this year to be able to do all of it and not worry about rushing back from vacation and not worry about like that kind of stuff, to be able to go to all the stuff for the kids and be there for all of it, or even to stay at home with my youngest when my wife takes the older 2, and that's been worth every penny and every second.
For sure. So I wanted to talking about wholesale one more time. So I was talking to Josh in the chat before we started the show, and I feel like there's this kind of stigma in the reselling community where people associate wholesale with success, because you see Rally Roots doing wholesale, you see Reezy Resells doing wholesale, you see Side Hustle Pros doing wholesale, and you see these people doing wholesale and you see them succeed. But you don't have to buy wholesale to be successful. And I think a lot of people try to get into wholesale too quickly. And that's what I did. I found a deal on Facebook Marketplace for these long Bluetooth speakers. I looked them up on Amazon and eBay, and they were selling for about $100 to $120. And the guy had 13 of them, and he was asking like $50 a piece. And I talked him down to $35 each. So, outside that seems like a good deal. I buy 13 at 35 and I can sell for, 100. But my first issue was that I used 100% of my available capital to do that. I just started reselling. I'd only been doing it for about a month or 2 at a time at the time. And I used all of the money that I had built up from reselling over 2 months and put it towards those speakers. The second mistake I made was that I did not check each speaker before I left that deal. They were all boxed up in boxes. I looked at like 2 of them and just trusted the guy and paid him, $500-$600, whatever it was. So when I got home and started, listing them and doing everything, I found that 2 of them were broken. One of them just had a crack in the side. It still worked. So I listed that, but I had to take a smaller amount. Another one was just totally crushed. Like it's crushed, and it didn't have a charger with it. So I still have that one just sitting in my room over there. I guess I just throw it away. It still works, but I don't have a charger for it. And it's also in pieces. I don't know how it works. So that was the second mistake. The third mistake is just that it was very stressful, because having that much money tied up into one wholesale deal, it's all I could think about. It was like, I have to sell these speakers. I sent 4 to Amazon FBA, and those sold relatively quickly. And I listed the other 9 on eBay. And I just had issue after issue. Like, they were kind of big. One of them shipped overseas to France. I went through the global shipping program. That buyer said the box showed up empty. eBay did, handle that. eBay refunded the buyer themselves. I didn't have to refund the buyer, but it was still stressful. Like, I had to call eBay and figure that out and wait for them to get a resolution. Another one, the guy that bought the cracked one, like, even though the crack was in the description, he still complained. He's like, "Oh, I didn't know this was cracked." I'm like, "It's in the title and description." And he actually left me negative feedback for that. I did call and get that removed since it was in the description, but that's just more stress. So all in all, I almost doubled my money on that deal. So financially, it was okay. But again, I should have made more. I had, you know, I feel like there was another one that I had to like just straight refund for some reason. I don't know. But originally I was looking at tripling my money, buying it for 35, selling it for 100. But in the end, I didn't make the profit that I thought I was going to make, which I didn't know what I was doing. I was still a new reseller. And it was just a lot of stress. And, if I would have taken that $500 and went to the bins, I could have made 10 times the amount of money as I made on that deal.
Absolutely.
So, I just think it's important. Like, don't worry about wholesale deals. Like, I'm sure, like, shoot Ryan and Allie a message, or Alec Callie or somebody a message on Instagram, and they'll tell you that they didn't start doing wholesale for probably at least a year. You don't think you have to do wholesale to be successful. You can just thrift and yard sales. I mean, John Cincinnati Picker, he doesn't do wholesale, but he's doing like $18,000 in the last 60 days on eBay, just with yard sale funds. He doesn't even go to thrift stores.
I see Kent Daigle wrote in the chat. He said wholesale is the fastest way to lose more capital. And I think a lot of people are almost like, I know I kind of felt this way when I started out. I was like impatient or desperate. I'm not really sure what the right word to use here is, but I get like this anxiety, like I'm like pressuring myself to scale my business as fast as possible. And you see other, bigger resellers, successful resellers, and oftentimes you do see them doing wholesale, and there's almost like a weird connection. You're like, I have to find a wholesale deal. I have to make these bigger purchases if I want to, take my business to the next level. And if you're starting out and you have that kind of mentality, it's just so easy to blind yourself and like make mistakes. Because like finding a good wholesale deal, like you need to start networking. Like it's not easy to find a good connection like that. Like if wholesale was like super easy to find, like everyone would be doing it. Like everyone would be making like millions of dollars overnight. Like it's not an easy thing to do. It takes time to, build that kind of relationship with someone like a manufacturer or something. It takes a lot of research to even find a deal like that. Like there are some like good bulk purchases locally that you could find like through Facebook Marketplace, but that's not like a dependable method. That's like every once in a while, something like that will pop up, and like every reseller in the local area is contacting that seller or that distributor. So I think you just have to be like, especially if you're just starting out, you have to be okay with the process. You have to be okay with just like building this business up little by little. Like that's the good thing about reselling. Like you don't need a lot of capital. You don't have to take like a business loan to start up a reselling business. You can start it with just like, $10-$20 and then just build it slowly from there. Like a lot of these people that are doing wholesale successfully, they've been reselling for like 10 plus years. Like compared to them, like I know like for me, like my experience level compared to them, like I have a long way to go to even get to that level in terms of experience. So I think a lot of people just like they almost get like desperate to grow their business, and that's like almost, I know like for me that was like almost a fault for me when I started the business. So just understanding that this is a long-term thing. Like I'm going to be reselling for hopefully the rest of my life. So I have the rest of my life to build this thing up.
Forever
Until I literally can't move a muscle.
Forever.
Yeah, Steampunk Town says this is my 7th year being full-time and I've never done wholesale. It's not necessary. I think if you want to have a big warehouse and employees one day and all that, then I think you probably do have to do wholesale at some point. But if you just want to have a one-person operation and just make a good living for yourself, I think wholesale is not necessary at all. Somebody had a really good question earlier, not about wholesale.
The bearded picker in the chat. How's it going?
Yeah, what's up, man? Sorry to step on your morning show Tuesday and Thursday. We were trying to find a time for our show that didn't step on anybody else.
I feel mornings needed another beard.
Yeah, we have like the discount bearded picker on this show, so close enough.
Hi, Dad.
Where is that? Sorry, there's a question about like what our wives think about our reselling. Okay, here it is. It's from Anime. Do you guys ever get critiqued by the wives like that's not a real job, or I work harder than you. All you do is make videos and go shopping. What do you guys think about this?
I'll get mine out of the way because my wife and I do the same thing,
anyway.
right? You know what I mean? Like we're different avenues, right? And there was a point in time. It wasn't you can't do it. It was the type of thing. I'm like, I had to take her with me those first few times to see. Like we just bought a $6 radio and I sold it for $80. You know what I mean? Like, and she's like, oh, okay, and that was it because she cuts vinyl out. So mine was a little easier, but you guys, I want to hear your answers. And
yeah, I think like in the beginning, she definitely saw it more as like a hobby, like a quote unquote side hustle, just making a little bit more money on the side. But over time, I think I showed her just like a few like big sales. I've showed her just kind of like the total number for like each month, like just taking it month to month, just showing her like how much I've made. And just showing her profits and numbers, like that does wonders. Like showing her that, it's a legitimate way to, bring in income through, reselling. She sees the potential with YouTube. And she's always been super supportive. And we've talked a lot about it, especially this past year as I was like transitioning out of the military. And the biggest thing that we talked about, like for both of us, I think a big priority is just like our mental health and happiness. I feel like at the beginning of our careers, we were like very like career driven, like reputation driven. We did a lot of things and we just like followed societal norms just because. We like chased the paycheck almost, we chased just like higher standards that were set by society. And I think both of us kind of struggled mentally. Like we weren't doing like what we enjoyed doing, and we both got burnt out real quick. So especially like this past year, as I was like getting out of the military, we talked a lot about that. So we're both like still young, I guess. We're both 27. So we were like, okay, we're giving ourselves until 30 to try a few things out, experiment, see what works, see what doesn't. That's probably like when we're going to start trying to have kids once we're both like 29, 30. So we feel like we still have like a little bit of flexibility where we are in our life. And she's just been super supportive. She thinks it's super cool that I've been able to, I don't have like a huge YouTube channel, but I built it up a little bit and she thinks that's super cool. She just, I don't know. She's awesome. But I think like the biggest priority is just like seeing what works, what doesn't right now. And I think there's just like a good opportunity for me to at least try to go full time and see if it does work. Give myself like a year, because if I don't, I'm going to regret it in like 5-10 years that I didn't at least like try this out.
Yeah. So I love this question because I think everybody is a little skeptical about doing this full time if they aren't aware of like the systems behind it. So at first, like when I started as a hobby, just making extra money, and it was fine. I first started bringing a bunch of Goodwill stuff in the house every day. My wife was like, what is all this crap? And then I was like, oh, I bought this for $1. I'm going to sell it for 40. She's like, okay, whatever. So she finally got used to that. What helped with that was I was keeping everything in this office at first. So it was just really crowded and cluttered in here, and that just made her antsy. So I moved everything in the garage, and that totally helped that situation.
Mm-hmm.
When I lost my job about 8 weeks ago, the thought of full-time reselling, like it wasn't the first thing on my mind because I honestly didn't think I could do it at first. And, she and I both talked about like I was applying for new jobs, and then like maybe 48 hours after everything like calmed down, I was like, what if I just do reselling and YouTube full time?
Mm-hmm.
And at first she was like, I don't know about that. And now she's starting to come around to it a little bit. And what's helped with that is that I downloaded the eBay app on her phone. She lists some things sometimes, but what's important about that is she sees my sales. When I get a sale, it dings on her phone first. I realized that when you get a sale on eBay, if you have an iPhone and an Android, the iPhone gets the notification like 3 seconds before Android.
Oh, really?
I don't know why, but that's helped a lot with that. And she's super supportive. She helps me source. She's totally okay with it. But at the same time, you have to realize that I think people are always going to be jealous of your job. Like, it's like all you do is, shop and make videos. And technically that's true. Like, I mean, I list and stuff, but the ways I help, avoid her being kind of having animosity towards me is I wake up at the same time as her. She wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning and she has to leave for work at 6:30. I don't have to wake up that early because I work from home, but I do, because if she has to wake up at 6 a.m. and go to work while I'm still sleeping in the bed, cuddled with the dog, that's just going to fuel that future animosity.
Right.
Wake up at the same time as her. I make coffee for her. Somebody else in the chat earlier said, I work from home. My husband works, and he just thinks I don't work as hard as him, so he expects me to do all the cooking and cleaning. My wife doesn't expect me to do the cooking and cleaning, but I do it. I have free time in the day. It's like Chris Daly Farman says, you can't resell for 8 hours a day. You just can't physically do that. Like I do focused work about 4 hours a day. So I have plenty of time to unload the dishwasher and sweep and clean up the fuzz from the other toy that my dog tore up, And so if she gets home about 4 o'clock. So when she comes home, if the house isn't messy and she saw that I've made $200 in sales that day, and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we're both home for the rest of the day spending time together, it's going to be very difficult for her not to like that plan. But look at it the other way. If she leaves for work in the morning and I'm staying in bed and I wake up at 8 or so to do my work, and she gets home and, I didn't clean anything because I've been working all day. I didn't have 20 minutes to unload the dishwasher. That's just, even though she says she's still supportive of that, I know deep down she's not going to be in the long term. So, if you are blessed enough to be doing full-time reselling in YouTube and your spouse is on board, just go above and beyond and make sure that they are comfortable with it. Constantly talk about it. You don't want it a job is not important enough to risk your marriage, risk the health of your marriage. So make sure you don't have the full hustle going on. Make sure you're still, taking time with your family, taking time with your kids and wife. This book is called 48 Days to the Work You Love. I'll put a link to this in the description after the video is public. But it's written by Dan Miller. If you're thinking about doing full-time reselling or starting your business, starting any kind of business, or just if you're in between jobs or you just got laid off, this is a must-read book. I've read it 2 or 3 times. It has really helped me in the whole transition. It does have kind of like a Christian aspect to it. So, I mean, if that's offensive, be aware of that. But it's just got a lot of good information about how to just find work that you love and how to get your spouse on board and how to balance your kids and everything. It's just a really great book. So again, I'll link it in the video after. I can't link it now, obviously, but again, 48 Days to the Work You Love by Dan Miller. And books are super cheap. You can probably get this used on eBay for like $3 or something. Yeah.
An ebook on Amazon is probably even cheaper too.
Yeah. You could probably get an audiobook, like just listen to it while you list or something. But it's a very, very good book. So sorry for the long rant there. That was a great question. Because I think it's a touchy subject.
Well, it's something that's not talked about a lot because it's a touchy subject. That's why I like talking about it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Zahir Malik says, that sounds ideal. Problem is when she comes home from work and sees you've only made 5 pounds all day and she still has to make dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
See, that's when you
if you have low sales, you better cut off early and go make dinner.
Yeah. That's when you say you have, work-life balance. You separate work and home.
I stopped working.
This is my business. You worry about your work. I'll worry about my business. And we're both home now, so let's just focus on quality time together. Now, I've tried to bring my wife into the reselling business, like take her thrifting and to garage sales, and she just doesn't enjoy it. And I'm not gonna keep pushing her to do something that she just genuinely doesn't enjoy doing.
Yeah. It's not for everyone. I think everybody likes the idea. It's like, oh, you can just go to a thrift store and make full-time income. I'm like, It's not that easy, but
Yes, if you go every day to every thrift store.
Yeah, if you can deal with going to the Goodwill bins for 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday,
Yeah.
and you can list for 5 hours a day, yeah, you can make a full-time income.
I don't know about you guys, but me and my wife, we both kind of need alone time sometimes. like I think we have the types of personalities where we can't spend like 24/7 together. We just get like pissed off at each other or something. So just like having little bits of quality time and then going our both ways and working on like different things that we enjoy doing, that's what's worked for us. Not saying that we have like a bad relationship. We just have that weird personality where we know sometimes we need to be in our own little bubble doing our own little thing. So that kind of, works out for both of us.
Sorry. I guess we're caught up in the chat. I wasn't looking at the chat while I was on my rant, but
You're in the zone.
I don't see any questions. It's just people like commenting about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Daigle did say she should care less what you do if you are happy and paying the bills. And yeah, in a perfect world, that would be fine. But women still have everybody has feelings, And if I had to go to work, and I'm also using her health insurance, in the future and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm getting stuff out of her employment. And it's just, you just have to just be mindful of that. Like, don't just focus on the money. It's not all about the money. It's about the stress, like coming home after having to wake up at 6:30 and work and come home and then having to clean and cook. Sometimes that's not all about the bills. I used to be a Dave Ramsey financial coach, and we had people that made, the husband would make $160,000 a year and the wife was a stay-at-home mom. And, a lot of men have that expectation, like, oh, if you're a stay-at-home mom, everything should be done all the time. But they also had like 5 kids. I'm like, that's people think stay-at-home moms just don't do anything. It's just like, all you do is just watch the kids, you got time to clean and cook and everything. But there's just a lot of animosity there. So I just think that communication is very, very important to make sure both of you are on the same page and both of you are content and happy. Again, it's not all about the money. The money can be stressful. If you're not making money reselling and you want to be a full-time reseller, that's not going to work. You've got to be able to provide for your family. But yeah, again, I'm ranting.
Yeah, Bearded Picker says relationships are each different, just like business models. You have to do what is right by each of them for your own personal situation. Doing what someone else does can be a disaster.
Bearded Picker
so true.
Is wise. He's like 100 years old and is
a bearded one.
I've learned many things from Bearded Picker.
Having kids in your house is like having little hairless tornadoes.
Oh my
I was once a hairless tornado.
That's what you're gonna call your kids now. Come here, little hairless tornadoes.
Come here, my hairless tornadoes.
Rev Resell says reselling allows me more time for my family and faith family. Win-win for everyone. Yeah, because we all know preachers only work 1 day a week, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm kidding.
I said that's my grandfather. He drop kicked me. After I set him writing sermons, 3 separate times a day. And
Reselling Addicts. Oh gosh, I'm all the way at the top again. Okay, here it is. Reselling Addict says, I didn't realize how long it takes to do YouTube videos. I've had to cut down what I do in my videos because I'm always trying to add things and I don't know what I'm doing, so it takes forever. Yes, YouTube videos take forever, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Once you make your first 50 or 60 videos, you should probably have it down pat at that point. Like Lonnie Garage Flips, he just films himself every morning on a GoPro, not much editing, no frills, and he does very, very well. So and then you got Suburban Beard. I mean, I feel like you spend 12 hours a day on your videos.
I honestly don't. I spend about a half hour on each video. Like,
really? Are they editing everything?
What I did was, so I didn't even launch my channel like February last year. I just started learning. I use Filmora, and there's a specific guy I follow on YouTube, and the way he explains it, it just clicked in my head, and it's easy for me. In this program, I've tried Apple and a couple other programs, and they're like Greek to me, right? Like I lose my mind, but like whatever, and I'm not promoting them. I don't work for them, nothing like that, right? But for me, that Filmora is just, it's easy. And I've learned a lot of little tricks. And the biggest part, I think, of editing for anybody is knowing where the button is of what you want to do. Knowing the drop down button, the link, the click, like what you want to do. Like, so I know in my program where every little piece is of what I like to do in my videos.
Yeah.
And how to make that. And so it's boom, boom, boom. Now I'm not talking about the converting part because that just takes forever on everybody's computer.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn like your editing software, but then you have to learn YouTube, like how to do end screens and like how to add the 20 seconds to the end of your video to fit the end screen, and how to deal with copyrighted music and stuff like that. It's a lot that goes into it. So it's definitely a grind, which I feel is why so many people stop.
Yeah, the biggest mentality I had was especially in the beginning, like your videos just need to be good enough. Like spending, it's so easy to get consumed into video editing, and like I could easily spend like 6 hours trying to edit a video and perfecting it if I really wanted to, but I have to consciously like cut myself off and just like tell myself, okay, this is good enough. Like this will get the job done. I mean, a lot of people like you're like your biggest critic. Like a lot of people, if you upload a video that's just like that's good enough, okay, like no one's gonna say anything. But when you're starting out, like the biggest way to improve video editing is like don't try to do everything all at once for like your first video. Just try to do like one video editing technique, and like YouTube was like an amazing resource for me. I use Filmora too, so I watched like a lot of Filmora tutorials on YouTube. And there's just like so many editing techniques, like little shortcuts. So just implementing like one or two shortcuts or an editing technique like every video, just like limit yourself to just like improving or trying out like that one or two video editing technique per video. And over time, like your library of knowledge and like skills when it comes to video editing, that'll just like slowly build up if you just focus on like one or two like specific techniques each video. But definitely don't try to like overwhelm yourself with like every single button. There's a lot of buttons on video editing software. Don't try to like overwhelm yourself and like click everything all at once.
I think Filmora, if I'm not mistaken, $65 for lifetime or $60 for lifetime. There might be a coupon code. I put the link in the chat. Click it after we're done. But it's to Daniel Batal. Again, I don't work for him or get monetized by him. None of that nonsense. It's who I follow and how I learned. So if I can share that with somebody else and it benefits you, awesome.
My recommendations, if you have an iPhone, I would just recommend filming and editing everything on an iPhone. I would use iMovie, and another option would be LumaFusion. I think LumaFusion is like $10, like a one-time purchase. Super, super easy to use. Really, the only thing about a video you have to do well at first is just learning to cut stuff out. Like your first video, you just do like a one-time take and then go through and cut out everything that you messed up or whatever. That's just one feature on the software. Just cut again, click the thing you just cut out and delete. It's very, very simple on any software. Rev Resell says he uses Resolve 15. DaVinci Resolve is a wonderful program. It's just very, very, very intricate. I use Power Director on my phone. I make all my videos on my cell phone. I have a Samsung Galaxy Note 9. I film and edit everything on there. So you don't have to have a computer. You don't have to have a crazy editing software. It's just like find YouTubers that you like and rewatch some of your favorite videos for them and try to analyze it from just a film standpoint. Like, why do you like this video? Do you like it because it's framed well? Is the lighting good? Is the sound good? I think the two most important qualities of a good video is light and sound. You can have, an iPhone 6. It doesn't matter. You use an iPhone 6 to film your videos. As long as you have a good light on your face and you have a microphone, I would highly suggest getting like a cheap lavalier microphone just to plug it into the phone and clip it on your shirt. Just to, people can forgive a poor visuals, but they can't forgive poor audio. Like some of my past live streams have been straight garbage visuals. but the audio is still decent. So that's why they still got views. So just focus on, light, sound, and just basic editing techniques.
Yeah.
YouTube in itself is just like it's a completely different beast than reselling. Like we have YouTube channels about reselling. Like other people have YouTube channels about how to do YouTube. Like it's crazy how much there goes behind it.
Philly Picker said, just started making videos last week and I had no idea what it takes to make videos. It takes time and my videos are pretty bad. Philly Picker, again, we talked about that video in yesterday's video live stream from Roberto Blake. It's called Make 100 Crappy Videos. I think in the reselling niche, you should make 50 videos before you expect any type of audience at all. You make 50 videos, you should be up to about 100 to 200 subscribers at that point. And then you might understand how much it actually takes to make a quality video. I see a lot of resellers make 3 or 4 videos and wonder why they don't have an audience yet. It just takes a lot of time.
And collaborate with people.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it too. But anyway, we are over the hour mark. Thank you guys so much for showing up. 116 people watching now. Be sure to hit the like button for us if you don't mind. We really appreciate that. Thanks, Andy Lepper, for the one super chat earlier in the show. We appreciate that as well. And let us know, the thumbnail for this video is our new logo. It's on my channel now. It's on a lot of Josh's channel from yesterday. So go check out that logo and let us know what you think about that. We had a graphic designer work on that, and we're thinking about putting it on some products in the future, such as coffee mugs. So check that out. Let us know. And any final words, Slaughter Josh, Suburban Beard?
No.
Tomorrow
Thanks
on
for
my
joining us
channel.
today.
Oh yeah, tomorrow we'll be on Suburban Beard's channel as long as
If
he
I
doesn't
show up,
or some avalanche or something happens.
right?
And, we'll be there 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So
Yeah, Bolo Buddies is asking when the show is. So it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Tuesday we do it on my channel. Wednesdays we do it on this channel here, Tornadoes, and then Thursdays we do it on Suburban Beards.
Awesome.
Boom.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching.
Thanks,
we really
everyone.
appreciate your time as always, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.